Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Walmart exclusive Avengers Beyond Earth's Mightiest Bucky Barnes Captain America, aka Bucky Cap. And this figure is not in stores quite yet. I was able to get my hands on this because this year at Comic-Con, Hasbro had a bunch of the Beyond Earth's Mightiest figures, and they were doing a bunch of giveaways at their booth. They were doing like trivia and contests and all kinds of different things. I got lucky because one of the homies at Hasbro was able to set one aside for me and hook it up. So huge thank you to him. I do appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So actually, before we get into it, I want to show some love real quick to the original Marvel Legends Bucky Cap, because this guy here is one of the most important Marvel Legends figures, in my opinion. You know, I think before they actually got to this figure, Hasbro wasn't necessarily taking Legends seriously. Before him, they were using a lot of old Toy Biz molds, and they continue to do it. But, you know, before Bucky, they really didn't have a strong original body that they used, you know. And at this point, it's kind of hard to appreciate it because they've used this body so much. And now when I see new figures on this body, it freaking pisses me off. But I got to show some love to this figure because I really think that Hasbro started to take Marvel Legends seriously when they made this guy. And I still think it's a nice figure, but I am happy to upgrade to this because this thing looks amazing. But let's go ahead and talk about the packaging. So right on the front here, you are able to see the figure. Down here it says Avengers Beyond Earth's Mightiest. On the side of the box, we get a digital look at the figure, and he does look nice. On the back, we have him posed up, and then we get a look at the accessories that he comes with. And then on the side, we have some awesome comic book artwork. I love that. But yeah, the packaging's pretty simple. It's still this new windowless packaging. They are going away from this pretty soon, so I look forward to that. But for now, it is what it is. But enough about the box. Let's go ahead and get Bucky out and take a look. Ooh, all right. So here we have Bucky Cap right out of the box, and he is looking pretty damn good. Check him out. Hasbro did a really nice job on this guy, especially with the look and the aesthetic. He looks amazing. One thing I'm really excited about with this guy is the fact that on the torso, all the details are sculpted. On the previous Bucky Cap, it was just the blank body and, you know, everything was painted on. But with this new one, the star is sculpted, the red and white stripes are sculpted, everything, all the details are actually on there. You could feel them. They're just not painted. And I think for that reason, this guy's going to feel unique no matter how many times we see the Vulcan body used. Like the base of this is the Vulcan body, but they added some details on there, much like they did with Cyclops. And I really think that that's the way to go when they're reusing bodies, you know. I understand you can't make a completely new sculpt, but taking something that you have in the arsenal and just adding a little bit of details really goes a long way, and it makes the figures feel unique. So this Bucky Cap is going to feel unique no matter how many times they use the Vulcan body. We really couldn't say the same for the old one, you know. It was awesome when it first came out, but then every time that they used this body for a new character, this guy felt, you know, devalued almost every single time. I don't think we're going to feel that experience with this new one. So that is awesome to see. In pretty much every single aspect, this new one is better than the old one, but I'll always love that original one. But man, look at that. They did a great job with it. He does have the same, you know, style of shield that none of us like with this clip, but thankfully his wrist isn't so big that it's making it feel stressed or at risk of breaking. For the most part, it fits on there really well. Man, yeah, this guy came out nice. I do have some issues with the articulation, like especially in the neck area and then again with the shoulders, but we'll talk about that when we cover the articulation. But for the most part, I think that Hasbro killed it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on him because I think they did a great job with the sculpting and most of the paint is good. There are some small imperfections, but nothing major. I think they pretty much did a great job all the way around. And then taking a close look at the details on Bucky, starting from the top, as you could see, this is a really, really good looking head sculpt. I think they did a great job with the detail. I love the facial expression. The paint work is nice. The A on the forehead looks good. The eyes are really clean. Everything about this head sculpt is extremely well done. We've got the wings on the side of the head, and those are soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about them breaking or anything. And yeah, look at that, man. That's a perfect Bucky Cap head sculpt. And then moving on to the body, we've got the star on the chest here. And as I mentioned before, all the details on the torso are sculpted. So the star is sculpted on, the stripes on the lower abdomen are sculpted. The paintwork is mostly nice. As you can see, I do have one small paint imperfection right there. That's kind of hard to see when I'm just handling the figure, but when I'm zoomed in with the camera, you know, you're able to see that kind of stuff. But aside from that, the paintwork is pretty nice. He does have a star on the shoulder. That is painted on, not sculpted, but it's okay. It does look really good. On the back, he has a star that has a hole in it, obviously, so that you could put the shield in there, but that does look good. I appreciate that they sculpted that back there. But yeah, look at that. I love the design of Bucky Cap. You know, you see it and it's obviously Captain America, but right away, you know, there's something kind of wrong with it. You know, it's not Steve Rogers, you know, even if you've never read these books, you would see this and know that it's not just like regular Captain America. But yeah, I think that Hasbro did a great job with it. And then he does have the pouches and holsters and stuff around the waist. They're kind of hard to see because they're all just black. There's not a whole lot of details in there, but they do look good. As you can see, he's got the gun in here. Let's take a look at the gun real quick. And the gun is decent. It's kind of basic, not a whole lot going on, but it works. And it fits right in there with no problem at all. And then on this side, he does have a knife. We've probably seen this knife 100 times at this point, but you know, it's fine. And it goes right in there with no problem if you put it in there right. Oh wait, I did have it right, my bad. But yeah, the pouches and stuff do look good, and they do hold the weapon securely. Then moving down to the legs, there's not a whole lot going on. I like how the boots have a different finish from the rest of the leg. That's cool. And then he does have pinless knees and elbows, which is always nice, as you can see here. And then we do have the detail for the gloves. But yeah, man, this is a beautiful looking figure. Definitely captures the feel and look of Bucky Cap from the comics like perfectly. I love what they did with the metallic blue on here. I like the sculpting work on the torso, the pouches, just everything about the way this figure looks is absolutely perfect in my opinion. They straight up killed it when it comes to like the design and the stature and just the presence that the figure has, you know. They really did a great job with the look on him. And then for accessories, aside from the knife and the gun that we've already looked at, Bucky does come with two different sets of hands, including a pair of fists. And then he has a set of weapon gripping hands. On the right, he has a trigger finger, and on the left, he has a standard gripping hand that could be used to hold on to his knife or his shield or whatever. You know, you could do different things with this. I do wish that he came with two of each of these, though, so we could carry the weapons on either side. But, you know, it is what it is. I am happy that he does come with two different sets of hands. And then, obviously, he does have his shield, and this does look really good. I like that the shield itself kind of has a bit of a metallic finish to it. I think it looks really nice and it matches the figure very well. Unfortunately, it does have this, you know, peg and clip system. And, you know, I don't think anybody likes this, but it is what it is. Thankfully, the forearms on this buck aren't so big that when you put the shield on there, like it doesn't stress the clips or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about this breaking as long as, you know, you put it right there on his wrist or like under the wrist cuff thing. And then it does have the peg, so you could stick it in the back of the hole on the back of the figure, and there we go, boom. Yeah, so that's cool. I just wish that they would go away from this because obviously, you know, these things are pretty fragile and they break all the time. But thankfully, I don't think we really have to worry about that with Bucky Cap. And then now for some size comparisons. Here we have Bucky Cap alongside the one true Captain America, Steve Rogers Captain America. Obviously, this is the 20th anniversary version with the custom head sculpt from Casting Cave. On the opposite side, we have the recently released Deluxe Black Widow, and I think that Bucky Cap looks amazing next to them. I wish that there was a good Commander Rogers to put along with this Bucky Cap because, you know, when Steve came back, he was running around as Commander Rogers and Bucky stayed Captain America just for a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the recently released Marvel Legends Captain Rogers, so I would like to see them take another stab at it, or like maybe Mafex or somebody. I would like a good version of Captain Rogers. The Mezco one's pretty cool, but you know, it doesn't really fit in all that well with like these types of figures. So it would be cool to see Marvel Legends try it one more time, even though they just did it and it's not very good. Or Mafex, that'd be cool. But anyways, I think these three look amazing together. And then here we have Bucky Cap alongside the Marvel Legends Falcon and the Marvel Legends Quake. I know that Falcon was running around with Bucky, helping him out when Steve wasn't around, and Quake was running around with Nick Fury at the time. I really wish that we had a good Nick Fury figure. I love the Toy Biz one from back in the day, but man, that's one character that is in desperate need of an update. I would love to see Hasbro do a Nick Fury figure, especially if the Legends team took some pointers from G.I. Joe and kind of gave like us like a military kind of, you know, army, old school Nick Fury. That'd be awesome. Yeah, we definitely need a new Nick Fury. A new classic comic book Nick Fury would be amazing. And then next up, we have Bucky Cap alongside the Marvel Legends Cyclops and the Marvel Legends Vulcan. And this is pretty interesting because all three of these figures are based on the same body, the Vulcan body. But, you know, they added little things to Cyclops and Bucky just to make them feel different. Cyclops has the straps and they're actually secured down, and then Bucky Cap has the sculpting work on the torso. And in my opinion, that's the way that you should do reuse, you know. Vulcan is the base body, but just add little things here and there to make them feel different. And, you know, that's how reuse should be handled in an action figure line, in my opinion. Like, I'm all for reusing parts when it makes sense, but it makes it a lot more easy to enjoy the figures when they just don't all feel the same, you know, when they just don't feel like straight up repaints. Just adding little things on there really goes a long way, and I think these two figures are a really good example of that. And then next up, we have Bucky Cap alongside the Marvel Legends Wonder Man and the Marvel Legends Extremis Armor Iron Man. Next up, we have Bucky alongside a Black Series Imperial Stormtrooper and a G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Trooper. And then next up here, we have him alongside the Mafex Classic Comic Book Spider-Man and the Mafex Nightwing. And I would love to see Mafex do a Bucky Cap. I think they would absolutely kill it. And then finally, here we have the new Bucky alongside the old school OG Hasbro Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And you know what? I think it may be time to retire these two figures. This may be the last time we see these two guys in one of my videos. I've had these two figures in my videos for like the entire time that I've been doing YouTube. Pizza Spider-Man was one of the first figures that I reviewed, and you know, at some point I was like, I'm going to include both of these guys for all size comparisons. So they've been in about 90% of my videos. I'd say like 95%. They've been in like so many of my videos, but now the time has come to retire them. Bucky, this new Bucky is going to take over the old Bucky. He's going to hang out on the shelf until the end of time. And Pizza Spider-Man, I'm not sure who exactly I'm going to get to replace him. Either the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man or probably the Retro Card Animated Series Spider-Man. That might be the one that I'm going to have to go with. But it was a good run, gentlemen. I'm very sorry. It's time to change the page. Your services are no longer required. Thank you very much. And when it comes to articulation, Bucky pretty much has your standard Marvel Legends articulation setup. So that means there's really nothing innovative or new or mind-blowing here, but there's definitely enough for the character, and I am having fun playing around with it. There are some things I absolutely hate about the articulation, but nothing that ruins the experience overall. For the most part, I am having fun playing around with Bucky, and I do think the articulation works for the character. But I will say, just like I mentioned in my Spider-Man comparison video, I feel like Hasbro are kind of taking a step back in the articulation department, and not really with the amount of articulation that they include on their figures, but the range that some of the joints get. Just like a lot of figures on the Vulcan body, his shoulders are kind of limited. So I really wish they would fix that. But, you know, aside from that, oh, actually the neck. I'm really disappointed with the neck. We'll talk about that in a minute. But aside from those two things, I think the articulation is perfectly fine on Bucky Cap. And like I said, I'm having fun playing around with it. But let's go ahead and take a look starting off at the head. So unfortunately, they gave him this new style of neck where we only have movement at the upper neck. And that kind of sucks because it's very limited. This kind of setup really works the best when you can add the lower neck movement, but I understand why you couldn't do that with Bucky because it would have broken up the aesthetic and it would have looked ugly. So I don't know why they didn't just go with a hinge at the neck. That would have been the way to go in my opinion because the range on this is kind of limited. It could only look up to about right there, which is unfortunate. I mean, that's not horrible. I mean, I could live with the upward movement, but looking down really sucks. He can't even look down at all, really. You have to get the torso to help you out to get him to look down. We do get some nice tilt going on though, so that's nice. And then obviously it could look side to side. So, you know, I mean, it's not horrible here at the neck, but this is not the way that I would have preferred, you know. I think the hinge would have been the way to go. And then for the torso, he does have an ab crunch, which is pretty nice. It could bend forward to right there, which is pretty good. Then it could bend back to right there. And then he does have a waist swivel, but the waist swivel is kind of weird because the pouches are kind of keyed in to the figure. But when you're messing with the waist swivel, it kind of moves the pouches around and you could, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird how they did it. I wonder if they did it like that so that he can still move with the pouches instead of them just like being glued into place and eliminating the waist completely. Maybe having them kind of keyed in loosely to where they just kind of move out of the way when you're, using the waist swivel. Maybe that was something to allow it to move freely, and then you just kind of put this stuff back into place. Not too sure what they were thinking there, but yeah, he does have a waist swivel, even though it does kind of push the pouches around. And then he does have butterfly joints at the shoulders, but as I said, they are very limited like the Vulcan body. Now, I don't really hate this range. I wish it got more for sure, but I don't hate it. But the one thing I dislike is that, when you move it all the way forward as much as it can, you still have kind of a gap right here between like this part of the upper chest and the shoulder. So we have this here that's just like, it's a weird breakup, and you don't even get the benefit of the full range of the joint. And when we were asking the Hasbro guys, like, why this happens, they were saying like, oh, there's safety regulations and this and that kind of cause this situation to happen. And, I could understand that. I sympathize, but why not make it to where the sculpt comes all the way out? And if the shoulder is only allowed to go a certain, amount, bring the sculpt out to there so we don't get this weird break for nothing. I don't mind the weird break if we had the full benefit of the shoulder joint, but since we don't, like, just bring the sculpt out. Same thing on the back. Like, bring it out to right here. Like, make the sculpt stop where the shoulder stops. Or maybe they wanted to leave it like this so people could easily modify it. That is kind of cool, I guess. I'll take that. But, like, at the same time, I don't want to modify these figures. I want to take them out of the box and play with them. And Bucky, the shoulder situation definitely, I don't know. It's annoying. It's annoying, but it's not like a deal breaker. It's just like, come on, man. Like, pick one or the other. Either make the shoulder work or bring the sculpt out so we don't get this weird breakup without the benefit of the shoulder. Hopefully some of that made sense. I was kind of rambling, but yeah, these shoulders drive me crazy. I'm probably going to end up modifying Bucky just a little bit to see if I can improve the neck and the shoulder, but we'll see. And then he does have ball joints as well, which go all the way around. He does have upper bicep swivel, which is nice. He has a nice double jointed elbow. And for the legs, he could kick up to about right there. Dang, that's pretty good. He could kick out to the side. Dang, a really nice amount. Hell yeah, there we go. Yeah, his leg movement's pretty nice. Bam. And then he does have upper thigh swivel. He has double jointed knees. Boom, there we go. That'll work. He has a lower boot swivel. And then at the foot, he has a hinge that goes forward to right there, comes up to right there, and then he has rocking ankles. So yeah, good stuff at the legs. And obviously, I was just kind of complaining about the shoulders and the neck and stuff like that. But I've got to say, for the most part, I am happy with the articulation. And he is fun to play with, and that's the most important thing. I just wish they would clean up in certain areas, because it would improve a lot. Like, if you could get his arms all the way in front of him, that'd be awesome. As it is right now, can't really get like the best like throwing or punch throwing pose. You could get it kind of, but you could definitely get it, but it would be easier and look better if his arm could go in front of him a little bit more. And it looks like it could have, but the way it's designed on the inside, or the way it's constructed on the inside, just kind of prevents it. So in my opinion, just make the sculpt match as far as the articulation allows. Don't make it look like there's movement when there really isn't, is basically the thing I'm trying to say. But anyways, like I said, I was complaining a little bit, but I am happy with the articulation, and he is fun to play with, and that is what matters. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is a really, really dope figure. Hasbro did a great job on this guy, and I think he's a huge improvement over the previous Bucky Cap. Even though I still love that old figure, this guy is better in every single way. I will say though, he isn't perfect. He does have some imperfections and some flaws and some things that I wish were a little bit different. But for the most part, I think it's a really, really great figure and a nice update to a character that needed an update. So I'm very happy that they released this figure, and I'm very happy to have it. I think he looks amazing. The proportions and the design and just the details and all that stuff is so much better than the previous version. It really blows it away in my opinion. The fact that he has some sculpted detail on the torso and just the build, you know, like the builds and proportions look way more comic book accurate than the previous version. And the articulation on this guy is an improvement as well, even though it's not perfect. That's really where my main problems with this figure are. Like some of the choices, like the neck, I really don't like the fact they use this style of neck on him because you can't really get his head to look up and down that much. And then the problem with the shoulders and the fact that they don't really get the range that your standard butterfly joint should get. It's weird because Hasbro has done butterfly joints successfully for, you know, forever. For as long as they've been doing Legends that had butterfly joints, every time they do it, it's perfectly fine. But for whatever reason, in the last year or so, a lot of their figures have this problem where the way they construct the shoulder kind of limits the movement. And I really hope that they fix that. In my opinion, that's really the only big flaw with this Captain America, the shoulder thing and then the choice on the neck articulation. But aside from that, you know, he's pretty much perfect. It would have been perfect if those two things were not an issue, in my opinion. But, you know, still, those problems that he has don't really bother me all that much. Obviously, I wish they were different, but they haven't taken away from the enjoyment that I'm experiencing with the figure. I think this thing is awesome. And like I said, it's a huge upgrade. And yeah, they killed it, man. He came out amazing. I'm really happy with the sculpting work on the torso area. I love that they sculpted the lines and the star and everything. That's really going to make this figure feel unique regardless of how many times they reuse this Vulcan body, you know? So that is really nice to see. But yeah, I really just wish they had fixed the problems with the articulation. But aside from that, I'm very happy with this figure. And yeah, I think Hasbro killed it. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Also, one more thing before I get out of here. If you've never read the Ed Brubaker run on Captain America, I strongly suggest you do. That's where Bucky Barnes became Captain America, and it's awesome. It's one of my favorite comic book runs, and it just, you know, he killed it. Ed Brubaker killed it, and I think Bucky was awesome as Captain America for that little bit of time. I love, like, the internal conflict he was feeling, like, not, you know, never thinking he was really good enough to be Captain America. All that shit was crazy. So I really like that run. I love characters from that run, and yeah, it's good stuff. So check it out. That's my parting advice to you. Thank you very much. Peace. Alright, so after messing around with this Bucky Cap figure for a couple of hours, I decided to go ahead and do the shoulder modification. And as you can see, it did work out pretty well. He gets way more range than he got before. So now I'm definitely happy with the amount that his shoulder is able to move. I don't know why they don't just do it like this in the first place. It's so weird how they construct it on the inside. And, you know, it's very limited. But after doing the modification, I'm pretty happy with it. And the modification that I used this time around is the one that was shown to me by ArtWitToys. He did a really good video tutorial on it. I'll leave a link in the description below. Mine didn't go as smoothly as his. He's like way better at it than I am, but I did make it work. It just took a little extra work on my part. It was kind of hard for me to pop out the shoulder socket and then pop it back into place. That took a bunch of work, but yeah, he has a really cool video showing how you could do it. So yeah, after doing the modification, I'm really happy with the way this figure turned out. It just sucks that you have to do these modifications for joints that should be just kind of standard, you know? Like, it's awesome they put it in there. I just wish they made them fully functional. But, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I did the modification, and now I'm really happy with Bucky Cap. I was already happy with it, and honestly, I probably could have just lived with it, you know? But after messing with it, I just liked it so much, and I just wanted to get that little bit more out of it. So I went ahead and did it. And yeah, it worked out nice for me. And if you want to do this modification on your Bucky Cap or figures that use the Vulcan body, I strongly suggest that you check out ArtWitToys' video. Like I said, it'll be in the description below. Hopefully it's helpful for you guys. But yeah, thanks. Peace.